Hello everyone. So as I said before that there is no quiz today. Um, what happened? So today will be the regular lecture session. Um, so due to some technical problems, the part of today's lecture was written before. Um, okay, so let's begin. Today we will start with expectation. Um, so let's write it here. Okay. I will start with an example. So example one. What we do here? This is a very simple example. We roll a fair die. Let x be the face value outcome, and we want to calculate expectation of x. Okay. So although I have not defined what expectation is, let me do that now. Okay. Alright, so in simple words, expectation of a random variable bounded by of x, and it is simply a weighted mean of the random variables. It is the random variable. X and the weights are actually the probabilities. So the weights corresponds to the probabilities of different outcomes. So in the first example, we are rolling a fair dice. Other thing is that if so in case of uniform random variable, if in case of uniform random variable, okay, so in case of uniform um, Pauli distribution. That is, all the outcomes are equally likely. The expectation, simply the mean of the outcomes, average. Okay. So in this example, we see that since it is a fair die, all the outcomes 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 6 are equally likely. And expectation of x is simply the average, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6 over 6. And we get that as 3.5. Okay, so the answer is 3.5. And if you look at the picture, so these vertical lines indicates the probabilities of each phase value. And since all of them are equally likely, the expectation or expected value of the outcome falls right in the middle, which is 3.5 here. So this also tells us one more thing to notice, that expectation of a random variable is not necessarily one of the outcomes. Okay, so expected value of random variable is not necessarily one of the outcomes of the random variable. Yes, the expectation turns out to be 3.5, but if you roll a die, you are never going to see the value 3.5. So mathematical expectation can be anything. It is not necessarily the actual value that you will see. It is simply a weighted mean. Okay. One variant of this example, let's call this example 1b. So let's say it here. Suppose the die that we rolled is not a fair die. Okay. Suppose the die was not a fair die. And, the probabilities are given by. So probability of the phase values are given by. Probability of getting a k is suppose so let's say 7 minus k divided by 21. You can check this is a probability mass function. And let y be the phase value. So let y be the phase value. And we want to compute expectation of y. Okay. So as I said at the beginning, expectation is generally a weighted mean. So if the dice is not a fair die, and probability of k is 7 minus k over 21, which means probability of getting 1 is 6 over 21. So probability of getting 1 is 6 over 21. Probability of getting 2 is 5 over 21. Probability of getting 3 is 4 over 21, and so on. So if you look at the picture of the probability distribution, it is like this. It is decreasing in that way. And if you calculate the expectation, so expectation is going to be the value of the random variable times the probability. So 1 times the probability that y is equal to 1, 2 times probability that y is equal to 2. So y is equal to probability that y is equal to 2 is 7 minus 2 over 21, which is 5 over 21. So 3 times 4 over 21, and so on. So if you finish this calculation, it will turn out to be 56 over 21. So 56 over 21 is somewhere in between 2 and 3. So it is somewhere here. The point is that if you compare that with the previous example, the expectation in the previous example was right in the middle of the spectrum, and here the expectation is shifted towards left because there are higher probabilities towards left. So in generally speaking, the expectation will be shifted towards the high probability region. Okay. So the actual mathematical definition of expectation is given by following. Okay, so let me write this down. So let y be a discrete random variable. Let sorry, not y, x random variable, taking values, say q1, q2, q3, and so on. Then the expectation of x, right? Following formula. Expectation of x is given by expectation x is equal to value of the random variable, which is qy, times the probability that the random variable takes that value, and you take the sum over all possible values. Okay. Um, so my pen is not working properly. Let me try to highlight this. Okay, it's working, kind of. Okay. So that is the formal definition of expectation. Let's look at the next example of which utilizes this definition. Okay. Before I move to next example, does anyone have any question up to now? All right. So the definition of expectation. So in short, the definition of expectation is the values of the random variable times the probabilities and take the sum over all possible values. Okay. In the next example is very widely used one, which is a binomial distribution. So suppose x follows binomial NP. Okay, so x follows binomial NP. There are models of binomial distribution like this. Okay, I'm going to try to write this down. If my pen works. So this is like you toss a coin. Probability of getting head of that coin is suppose H, suppose P. So probability of H is suppose P, and you toss n times. So you toss that coin n times. And let x be the number of heads that you get out of that toss. Okay. And x be the say. Okay, so because of this, I had to write the lecture note beforehand. Okay, so suppose x be the number of heads, and uh, and then x follows the binomial distribution. Okay, good enough. All right. So that is the case. You recall that the probability mass function is given by n choose k. So fxk is probability that x is equal to k, which is given by n choose k, p to the power k, 1 minus p to the power n minus k, and that is true for k is equal to 0 to n. Now, if you want to find the expectation of this random variable, by the definition, I should be summing up the values of the random variable against the probability, and you take the sum over all possible k, right? So values of the variable times the probability, corresponding probability. So in this case, the sum will be running from k is equal to 0 to n, because that is the spectrum, k is equal to 0 to n. But you see that if I put k is equal to 0, the first term is anyway going to vanish because I have k times probability x is equal to k. So probability x is equal to k is not 0, but because of this multiplication by 0, which is k here, the first term will vanish. So essentially the sum will start from k is equal to 1. So that's why I put it in the red mark, that sum is actually starting from k is equal to 1. K times n choose k, p to the power k 1 minus p whole to the power n minus k. Now, so if you expand this, so k is outside, n choose k is n factorial divided by k factorial times n minus k factorial, and then you have p to the power k 1 minus p whole to the power n minus k. Okay. And now if you look at this, k divided by k factorial is simply k minus 1 factorial, so that's what I wrote here. So it's k minus 1 factorial, and everything remains as it is. So n factorial over k minus 1 factorial, n minus k factorial, p to the power k 1 minus p whole to the power n minus k. Okay. Now this is the next step is a kind of an important step here. So I wrote this n factorial as n times n minus 1 factorial, and I put that n outside. Okay, so I put that n outside, and I wrote that as n minus 1 factorial. And not only that, I wrote this p to the power k as p to the power k minus 1 times p. So I extract that n and p outside. And there is a reason behind doing this. So this n and p stays outside. And if I do a change of variable, say like L is my k minus 1. Okay, so I don't want to write this. Okay. So what is L here? So my L is k minus 1. If I do that change of variable, you see that so this looks like n minus 1 factorial over L factorial, and then n minus 1 minus L factorial, and then p to the power L, and then 1 minus p to the power n minus 1 minus L. Now this thing looks exactly like a probability mass function, and indeed it is. This is a probability mass function of binomial n minus 1p. Okay, so binomial n minus 1p. What was the probability mass function of binomial np? Probability mass function of binomial np was n factorial over k factorial n minus k factorial p to the power k 1 minus p to the power n minus k. Similarly, if I have n minus 1p, this would be n will be replaced by n minus 1, so it will be n minus 1 factorial, and then L factorial n minus 1 minus L factorial p to the power L 1 minus p to the power n minus 1 minus L. Now, because this sum is a sum of a probability mass function, it is a complete sum of a probability mass function. It's a sum is running from L is equal to 0 up to n minus 1. It's the whole spectrum, and therefore the sum is going to be 1. So in short, this whole thing becomes just simply NP. This is a very important result, that if you have a binomial distribution with parameter n and p, which means that a model problem is that you have a coin whose success probability is p, and if you repeat that experiment n times, then the expected number of success is n times p. One example is, let's say you have a fair coin which has a probability of getting hit is 1/2, and if you toss that coin 10 times, the expected number of heads is going to be 10 times 1/2, which is 5. This is what it is saying. Okay. Is this last calculation fine, or do I need to explain any step? Okay, so along the same line, we can talk about expectation of continuous random variables. So let x be a continuous random variable. Then expectation of x, expected value of x, is given by the following formula. Okay, so what is the formula here? It is similar formula as the previous one. It says that expectation of x is x times the PDF of x times dx. So let me highlight this, and once again my pen supports. Okay. So this is the expectation formula for continuous random variable, and what you have here. So this part is the PDF. Okay. And this is very similar to the discrete case. If you understand the discrete case, continuous case is just some translation. So in the discrete case, the formula was the values times the probabilities, and in this case, we have, in the continuous case, we have a similar thing, which is values times the density function. Because in continuous case, we do not have probability, we have density function only. So it is the values of the random variable, which is x times the probability density function. Okay, and in the discrete case we have summation, and in continuous case we will always have integration. So that is the only difference. So discrete case we have probability mass function, continuous case we have density function, and the discrete case we have summation, in continuous case we have integration. Okay, so we have this integration. Okay. So here is my first example about the continuous case. X follows on the exponential distribution parameter lambda. Okay, so x follows exponential distribution with parameter lambda. In that case, the probability density function is given by the following formula, and this was discussed multiple times in class. So x follows exponential lambda, and the PDF is given by lambda e to the power negative lambda x when x is positive, right? So it says PDF, it's not DF. Okay. All right. So now that is the PDF, and when you compute the expectations, so expectation of x is going to be x times the PDF integration of PDF against dx. If you do that, so this is a very simple change of variable formula. So this lambda dx is going to be du, and this x is going to be u over lambda. So 1 over lambda goes outside. So this is u times integration e to the power negative u du. This integration can be done using integration by parts, but I wanted to use the gamma function formula. So recall that in previous lecture we introduced this gamma function. So gamma of n is integration 0 to infinity u to the power n minus 1 e to the power negative u du. So in this case we have just u times e to the power negative u du, and u means u to the power 2 minus 1. So because you see in gamma n formula you have u to the power n minus 1. So if you have simply u, which is u to the power 2 minus 1, so therefore it is simply gamma 2. Now the value of gamma 2, value of gamma n is n minus 1 factorial, again from a previous lecture, and therefore value of gamma 2 is going to be 1 factorial, which is simply 1, and therefore expectation of x is going to be 1 over lambda. Alright. So if you have an exponential random variable with parameter lambda, the expectation is simply 1 over lambda. Okay. And also this follows from a very simple definition. Right. The next one, example 2. Suppose x follows normal distribution. Suppose x follows normal distribution with parameters mu and sigma square. and then you want to compute expectation of x. Okay. Once again, the same logic here. So expectation of x is going to be integration of x against the PDF. So let me write PDF. Okay. So integration of x against the PDF. Now PDF of normal distribution is given by 1 over sigma square root of 2 pi e to the power negative 1 over 2 sigma square x minus mu square, and for the whole range of real line. This was again given the lecture before the previous lecture when I was talking about widely used random variables. In that context, I talked about this normal distribution. Now, so here I would like to tell you one thing. So in this whole course, the most important distribution that you need to memorize is this density function. Of course, you need to memorize all the density functions, which is the uniform, exponential, this normal, and chi-square. But this is the most important one that you should definitely memorize. Okay, so we have this PDF, and we want to integrate to find the expectation. We need to integrate the x against the PDF. Okay, so x times the PDF. And in the next step, I used a simple trick which is quite often used in the integration one. So I wrote this x as x minus mu plus mu. Okay, so I wrote this as x minus mu plus mu. Okay. Now the thing is that because of this, if you look at this part of the integration, right? So we can take mu outside, okay, and this part of the integration will be equal to 1. So mu is a constant, right? So mu is a constant. You take that outside, and you have just integration of that, which is simply going to be 1. Why? Because simply because this is a PDF, right? Simply because this is the whole PDF of normal distribution. And integration of any PDF is always going to be 1, or summation of a PMF is going to be 1. The same trick that we used for the binomial distribution. So this integration is going to be 1. Therefore, the second part of the integration is going to be simply mu. Okay, the second part of the integration is simply going to be mu. Okay. What about the first part of the integration? In the first part, I did a change of variable. So I said u is equal to x minus mu. So it simply becomes x minus mu is u. So u times e to the power negative u square over 2 sigma square du, and so on. Now if you look at this first integration, this integration is 0. Okay. Why is it 0? Because this integration is over a whole real line, and this is actually a odd function. Okay, so u times e to the power negative u square over 2 sigma square. Sigma is a constant, so u times e to the power negative u square. If you plug in u is equal to negative u, this whole function will be just negative. So this is an odd function, and you know that if you have an odd function, integration of that function over the whole real line is going to be 0. Okay. So in short, the final answer is going to be simply mu. Okay, so although at the beginning this looks kind of a complicated integration, but it turns out to be a very simple trick. If you use this trick, and you will get the integration to be simply mu. Okay. And which means that if you have a normal distribution with parameters mu and sigma square, the mean of the normal distribution or the expectation value is actually mu, and this sigma square of the normal distribution, it's actually called variance, which we will talk about in the next lecture. So for today, the mean of a normal distribution is mu, and this is what we have just seen here. Okay. So let me see if anyone has any question up to now. Okay. And next, I would like to list like very few important properties of expectation. The first one is trivial, which says that if you have two random variables x and y, then expectation of x plus y is always expectation of x plus expectation of y, and this is always true. Why did I write this? That is clear in the next step actually, because in the next step it says that expectation of x times y is expectation x times expectation y only if x and y are independent. Okay, so now compare that with the first property. In the first property, expectation of x plus y is always expectation x plus expectation of y, regardless of whether x and y are independent or not. Okay, the first property is true whether x and y is independent or not. Okay, this is always true. This is the first one is true regardless whether x and y are independent or not. However, for the second one, when you have this product of two random variables, their expectation splits only if they are independent, and this is also a very consistent fact about independent random variables. You know that if you have two events A and B, so probability A intersection B is equal to probability A times probability B only if the events are independent. In the previous lecture, we have seen that if you have two discrete random variables x and y, then the joint PDF or joint PMF is product of marginal only if the random variables are independent. And the same thing goes here. So expectation of x times y is equal to expectation x times expectation y only if they are independent. Okay. So whenever you have this product splitting thing, that holds true only when the random variables are independent. However, for the sum, we do not need such a thing. It is always true. And the third property, it is not actually a property, it's just a definition. So it says that expectation of any function of x, so h is some function of x, is going to be integration of hx against the same PDF. Okay. So there is no change to the PDF. PDF remains same. We just replace this x by hx. Okay, which means in short, so this one, which means that in the previous example, if I wanted to calculate expectation of x square, the only thing I would need to do is replace this x by x square. So I would integrate x square against the PDF. I would not change the PDF at all. Okay, a lot of people make this mistake first time, that they try to change the PDF as well. PDF will be remain as it is. You just change the integrating function, which is x, and that will be changed to x square. If you want to find expectation of sine x, you just write sine x times the PDF dx. Okay, so whatever the function is, you replace that function here, and the PDF will be same as before. Okay, so these are three basic and widely used property of expectation. And the next example is actually an illustration of the property A. So let me type that problem. So the problem says like this: n bars are sitting in a row, okay, and each of them will look at left or right with probability 1/2 and independently. So there are n bars which are sitting in a row in a wire, and each of them either look to the left or to the right with probability 1/2. Okay, so this is the situation, and the random variable is so let x be the random variable. So let x be the number of bars who are seen by their neighbors, who are seen by at least one of their neighbors. Okay, at least one of their next neighbors. So what do I mean here? So for example, if I look at the first bird, this bird is not seen by any of its neighbor, and therefore this bird is not going to be counted. Okay. Before going to solve this problem, let me actually tell one important thing here. Hello. Okay. So the random variable x could be maybe from say like 1 to n or something like that. The whole point is that it's difficult. It is difficult to find the PMF, the probability mass function of x. Okay. So which means it is difficult if it is difficult to find the probability mass function of x. Then how do you calculate the expectation? So the question is, I didn't write the question. Question is the compute expected value of x, which means the expected number of birds who are seen by their neighbors. Okay. Now to find the expectation of x, if I look at the discrete random variable formula, right? So the formula says that expectation of x is values of the random variable times the probability, which means you need to find the probability mass function of the random variable. But in this case, if you try to do that, if you try to find the probability mass function of this random variable x, where x is the number of birds who are seen by their neighbors, it is going to be a very complicated thing. So we adopt something called indicator trick, which is actually a sum of random variables. So the following trick is known as so we are going to use something called indicator trick to solve this problem, and let me describe what this trick is. Okay, so this is what I do. So I define a set of random variables or class of random variables II. So you call this random variable II. It takes value either 1 or 0, and I say that it takes value 1 if the ith bird is seen by any of its neighbor, and it is 0 otherwise. Okay. And what we notice here is that the random variable x, the x is the number of birds who are seen by their neighbor, can be written as summation of II, and this is a very important representation, and the whole problem actually hinges to this fact here. So let me explain why that is the case. Okay. So what is II? So II is essentially counting the number of birds who are seen by the neighbor. So what you are doing? You go to the first bird, okay, and look at the random variable I1. Okay. So you see if that bird is seen by its neighbor or not. If that bird is seen by its neighbor, you count that towards x. If it is not, you do not count that. So counting something means adding 1, right? So this is how counting works. If you do programming, count function is always plus 1, and this is why I have this thing 1 and 0. Okay. So counting something towards something means you are basically adding 1 to that existing set. So I1, if you look at I1, in this particular picture, I1 is 0 because the first bird is not actually seen by its neighbor. It has only one neighbor, which is this one. And this guy is looking in a different direction. If I look at the second bird I2, this I2 random variable is 1 because the second bird is actually seen by one of its neighbor, which is the third bird. Okay. So it is true that the second bird is not seen by the first bird, but that doesn't matter. Only thing matters is that it's seen by any of its neighbor, and since the second bird is seen by the third bird, therefore I2 is equal to 1, which means I count the second bird towards the fact that it is seen by one of its neighbor. Okay. Similarly for I3, if I look at I3, that's the third bird, and I see that the third bird is seen by second bird, therefore I3 is equal to 1, which means I count the third bird towards x. So x is counting the number of birds who are seen by its neighbor, and so on. For in is equal to 1 because the nth bird is seen by its next neighbor, which is in minus 1. in minus 1 is also 1 because this bird is seen by its neighbor, which is this right hand side. It's looking at this. In minus 2, I don't know, because in minus 2, what I can see from the picture is that this n minus 2 bird is not seen by this n minus 1th bird, one of the neighbor. But I don't know about this n minus 3rd bird. If the n minus 3rd bird is looking at this guy, then in minus 2 is going to be 1. And if the n minus 3rd bird is looking in the other direction, then this in minus 2 will be 0. Anyway, so the point is that the total number of birds who are seen by their neighbor can be written as summation of this ii. Okay, and the only thing that we need to do is expectation of x is summation expectation of ii. Why is that? Because of the very simple first property here. The expectation of x plus y is expectation of x plus expectation of y, and this is not only for 2 variables, for also 3 variables. Expectation of x plus y plus z is also going to be expectation x plus expectation y plus expectation z. Okay, and the same thing here. So since I have this x is equal to summation ii, expectation x is going to be expectation of summation ii, and which is summation of expectation ia. So our main purpose is to figure out expectation of these i's. Okay. So let's look at expectation of I1. So what is the expected value of I1? Now you see that I1 takes value 1 or 0. So expectation of I1 is going to be 1 times probability of I1 is equal to 1 plus 0 times probability of I1 is equal to 0. Okay. Now what is the probability that I1 is equal to 1? Okay. What is the probability that I1 is equal to 1? It translates to the fact that I1 is equal to 1 only if the second bird is looking towards this first guy. And that will happen with probability 1/2, because each one is looking right or left with probability 1/2. So probability that I1 is equal to 1 is actually going to be 1/2. Okay. So expectation of I1 is going to be 1/2. Similarly for the last one, this last part here, it is at the edge. So expectation of IN is also going to be 1/2. Expectation IN is equal to 1 if this previous bird is looking at this guy, and that probability is 1/2. So expectation of IN is 1/2. But for birds from second to n minus 1th bird, each of them have 2 neighbors. Okay, each of the birds from second to n minus 1th bird have 2 neighbors. For example, if I look at I2, it has 2 neighbors. If I look at I3, it has 2 neighbors, and so on. For each of the bird in middle, it has 2 neighbors, right? And what we want the birds which are seen by at least one of their next neighbors, right? So that is going to be a little bit different calculation. And therefore, for I between 2 and n minus 1, expectation of probability of II equal to 0, the calculation is, so probability II equal to 0 means you take a bird in the middle, which is this guy, let's say, and this II will be 0 if both of these neighbors are looking in a different direction, okay, looking in the other direction. That probability is 1/2 for this guy and 1/2 for the right hand side guy, and they're independent. So the whole probability that I1 is I equal to 0 for I between 2 and n minus 1 is going to be 1/2 times 1/2, which is 1/4. So for any middle bird, probability that it is not seen by either of its neighbor, which means both of its neighbor are looking away, is going to be 1/4. And therefore, due to the simple logic, probability that I1 is equal to 1 is going to be 3/4, because I takes value either 1 or 0. So if probability of I equal to 0 is 1/4, the complement event, which is I equal to 1, is going to be 3/4. And therefore, expectation of II for all the middle birds, for all the middle ith birds, expectation of II is going to be 1 times 3/4 plus 0 times 1/4, which is simply 3/4. Now, if you compute the whole expectation, so expectation of x is going to be, as I said, summation of expectation of II, and that is going to be so expectation of I1. Okay, so expectation of I1 was 1/2, so you have 1/2. All the middle i's expectation have 3/4, so you have 3/4 from I is equal to 2 to n minus 1. So when I is from 2 to n minus 1, you have 3/4, and the last expectation of In is 1/2, so therefore you have 1/2 at the end. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1/4, and then you have 3/4 times. Actually, it should be n minus 2. I made a mistake here. So it should be 3/4 times n minus 2, and this will be 3n minus 1 over 4. Okay. So let me correct that if my pen is working. So this should be n minus 2. there are n minus 2 many indices there. And this would be so 3n minus 6, so 4 minus 6, okay, minus 2. Okay, that's it. So this is the problem which utilizes this is a very interesting problem because we are calculating the expectation of this random variable x without actually even knowing the probability mass function, and by using a very simple fact that expectation of x plus y is equal to expectation x plus expectation y, regardless of whether the random values are independent or not. Hello? Hello?
साइकिल मत काम करे.
Okay. And the last example. So there is one more, but I probably won't have time to go over that. So the final one, let's call it example 4. So here x follows exponential distribution. X follows exponential lambda. We want to compute expectation of x to the power n. Okay, expectation of x to the power n. So how do you do that? This actually follows from the third property that I was explaining. The expectation of any function of the random variable is that function times the PDF, and you do the integration. So it's very simple thing. So if x follows exponential distribution, then you have the PDF, which is lambda times e to the power negative lambda x, and therefore expectation of x to the power n is simply going to be x to the power n integration against the PDF. Okay, there is no change to the PDF. Once again, there is no change to the PDF. We just replace x by x to the power n because we are calculating expectation of x to the power n. And if you do the same thing that u substitution, right? So you substitute that lambda x is equal to u, and very simple calculation. So lambda dx is going to be du, x to the power n is going to be u to the power n over lambda to the power n, and gamma n plus 1, and so on. So this is going to be n factorial over lambda to the power n. Okay, so a very easy calculation. So all these calculations are actually not that difficult once you understand the definition and a few computation tricks. These problems are actually very easy. So I think I should stop here. And okay, so let's skip the last one. I stop here and let me see if anyone has any question. And in the meanwhile, you can go to that as usual, the assignment section, and take that survey. And as usual, if you are done with that survey form, you may leave the session.